Madden 27 just dropped, and you know we got to go over our coaching adjustments. First off, we want to start on offense. Tempo adjustments. You have normal no huddle true clock. We don't do anything. We keep it normal. If you want to, you can go no huddle true clock later on in the game and actually do your coach adjustments. Catching, we honestly don't touch any of this stuff except for auto pass protection. In this game, empty and base blocking are like the two most important blockings. The only time you have slide or full slide is if you block a tight end, he's attached to the line, or if you block a running back. And typically, when you have slide or full slide, you want to have or full slide away from the running back. If the running back's on the right side, have slide to your left. The running back's on the left side, have slide to your right. Simple as is. But for me, I like to go base. You can go base or empty, just depend on what your opponent is doing. If your opponent's running stunts, you want to go empty. If your opponent's running a lot of regular straight man rush, you want to go base. We get a lot of stunts, but I know kind of when people are running stunts and when they're running straight rushes. So it's just something to think about. Ball carrier, regular. Wide receiver scramble support. This is, I believe, automatically on aggressive. This is what you want. When your quarterback leaves the pocket, you want your wide receivers to come back to the ball. You don't want them going, up the field and out the way and whatnot. And you want them to help your quarterback as much as possible. Zone window awareness. So what this does right here is when it's on, receivers on crossing routes will slow down if they detect open windows and coverage. This is really, really bad, I think, generally, just because, yes, it's cool. Like, I guess if you have a window and it's like a large window or even a small window, the thing is, a lot of times they'll slow down a little too slow. They don't just kind of like sit, they like jog slow, and it's just not worth it, honestly. You don't need it, honestly. If you want to get good at the game, I recommend just having this off. If you're not good at the game and you need like to see more, if you need more time in the pocket and whatnot, then turn it on, but I recommend having it off. All right, next, auto flip defense play call. I'm gonna turn this off personally. I like to have, if I'm in nickel, my slot to the wide side of the field, just because they can play more and cover more ground compared to like a linebacker, right? We got a 90 speed slot versus like an 85 speed linebacker. Why not have a slot with higher zone on the wide side of the field? I like that pretty much at all times, unless my opponent is running some type of toss to the short side of the field or something like that. If they're not, then I like my slot on the wide side of the field. Cornerback matchup, keep this balance. Defensive motion response, I don't know yet. I have it default just to have my zones realign. I might disable this just so I can kind of get like a baseline feel. Not quite sure yet. Not quite sure what I want to do. Defender aggression, I've been playing with this on balance, and I really like the way they play. They don't play too aggressive. They don't play too conservative. I don't really see myself losing a lot either. I don't really see the reason to put it on aggressive unless it's like a third and fourth down and I'm only rushing 3, maybe 4. Then I can put it on aggressive, try and get a quick shed or something like that. Yeah, but to me, it's another thing that's situational. You don't want to have it on aggressive all game, because if you do, your D-line will get tired, your linebackers will get tired, DBs will get tired. They get tired very quick. If you're on conservative, you won't really make plays. It's just kind of like they get extra time, if that makes sense. So I keep that off. Gap integrity, it's entirely up to you. I think this is also very situational. If it's 4th and 1, 4th and inches, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, you want to go aggressive gap integrity, especially if your opponent's running inside zone or anything of the essence. If it's like, early in the game and you just don't want to give a big run, then I will go conservative for sure. Default is a mix between both. And I think it's also situational, so that's why I keep it on default balance. Option read key, we definitely want this on the QB. We want option pitch key. I think we want this on the QB too. I only say that because when people run speed options, 9 times out of 10, they're not looking to pitch it. And if they are, what you can do is you can actually click on to that DN or linebacker, whoever it is, and go make the play yourself. So I like this on conservative RPO read key. We're going to focus on the QB again. It depends, honestly, it depends. Let's focus on the quarterback. RPO pass key, conservative again. We want to stop the pass on our RPO pass key. I think this doesn't work. I might put it on default. I really don't think this works. Every year we always put this on conservative. It never works, ever. If you're running if you're playing against somebody who's running like RPO midline read option, where it's like that super long read option and they go to the opposite side of the field, your RPO read key, you want it on aggressive, because what that's going to do is it's going to go stop the running back who kind of is out there on his own. Other than that, the read key, I keep it on conservative. strip ball, we'll keep this on balance. Tackling, I've been thinking about putting this on aggressive to see if we can cause and force fumbles. I don't think we can, but I don't think there's a crazy penalty to putting this on aggressive. So I'm gonna put this on aggressive. Cornerback depth, I'm leaving this default for right now. The only thing I did change, I came in here and changed because I did play a few games, my safety depth and width. 9 and pinch is kind of like what you really want. If you have slower safeties, I recommend putting them at 12, just so you don't get beat deep. Pinch is really good when you're playing against RPOs. This is very, very important to remember. When you're playing against RPOs, you cannot run pinch. Your safeties have to be wider than the pass key. The pass key is either the slot corner or the outside linebacker. So they have to be wider than those guys. If they're not wider than those guys, you're always going to give up the RPO, especially the RPO read flat. So that's something to remember. Defensive midpoint, we'll keep this default. I've been messing around with this a little bit. I kind of like to the field side a little bit when they're spread, or not really wide, but when they're spread, just because it kind of gives like a cover 3 look, especially like if you like to run cover 3 cloud. But I don't want to show that right away. I want to keep it the same, so I keep it on pinch. But it's just something I've also been thinking about, pinching in default. Sorry, excuse me. Zone strat. This also varies depending on what your opponent likes to do. If your opponent is very drag heavy, you want to put this on aggressive or ultra aggressive, right? Your opponent is very comeback, deep dig, seam heavy, you want to put this on conservative. You don't want to go ultra conservative. I think that's like for end of half, or really even like end of the game type of scenarios where they need like 20 plus yards. I'll go ultra conservative, but even then you have to be careful because they can throw like a 10-15 yard dig, drag, slant, whatever the case may be, turn up and get extra yards. So I like conservative in those situations, and aggressive. I don't like ultras, not yet. I got to play around with them a little more, but I like aggressive and conservative. But for right now, I keep it on default and just change it based on how my opponent plays. I just adjust. Plaster, definitely want this on aggressive. I like plaster on aggressive, especially in match coverage. The trigger, backside, everything backside is pretty much cage. I'm not gonna lie, it's really good. Plaster, trigger, OP, and time, we definitely want both. We don't want it just when our opponent is outside the pocket. We don't want it just when our opponent is on a timer. We want both, right? Or you can go time. I don't know what the time is. I would assume it's maybe 3 seconds, something like that, but I like both just in case. Plaster time, I like aggressive. I like aggressive plaster time. I like having zone, but I also like plaster just because like those deep zones, they don't really get open as much. Roll coverage, we keep this default. Zone drops, this is something, again, I recommend you just come in here and just adjust to depending on what your opponent is doing. Like I said, if your opponent is consistently throwing flats, consistently throwing drags, then of course I'll put my hooks on maybe 5 and my flats on 5, my curl flats on 15, something like that. Just depending on what's going on. But for the most part, this is something you want to do in game and not necessarily here at your coach adjustment menu. Now, for man checks, stack, there's a lot we can do here. We have way more adjustments than we do on college football. We have combo. Combo, all this means is that they swap. If you have an inside corner and outside corner and 2 stacked receivers, first in the inside corner takes, first out the outside corner takes. That's what that means. Triangle. Triangle is cover 2 man, but it's 3 on 2. You got a linebacker, a cornerback, and a safety. And it's pretty much combo, except if one of the guys goes deep, the safety, which I think the threshold is about 6 to 7 yards, one of the guys goes deep, that's the safety's responsibility. The cornerback is the first guy out. The linebacker is the first guy in. So if you have a guy running a slant and a post, your slant is getting picked up by the linebacker and that post is getting picked up by the safety. If it's an out in the corner, the out is getting picked up by the corner route is getting picked up by the safety, so on and so forth. So that's triangle. Top hat. The top hat is pretty much like, how do I put this? Like cover 3. Inside defender takes a back receiver and quarterback takes front. Simple flip. It's good for people, excuse me, not cover 3, cover 4 palms. It's good for people who like to put their inside guy on a flat and their outside guy on like a slant. Same thing as like point combo, except it's your inside defenders, not just your corners, if that makes sense. And then we got lock. Lock is just man on man. It doesn't matter. One guy on one guy, one guy on the other guy. They don't switch at all whatsoever. For me, in college football I ran combo, but I want to try triangle. I think triangle might be a really good defense to run. Bunch checks, we got combo, point triangle. So let's read point triangle because I haven't actually looked at point triangle yet. Point triangle, cover 2 man, 4-on-3, number 1 and number 3 combo, right? Okay, safety brackets deep. So pretty much point triangle is your point man out of bunch. You have 3, right? This point man is locked man on man. These 2 guys are combo. It's just combo with a deep half, right? With the deep half, deep quarter, whatever you want to call it. These guys are interchangeable depending on if they go in or out. If they cross, they're interchangeable. Your safety, however, is bracketing whoever goes the deepest. That's how that works. So this is something I'm gonna give point triangle a try. We have cover 3 stack. Now for me, I like top hat. I like top hat here just because I like for my safety, my corner to stay over top if they run some type of corner route or anything like that. I also like for my outside, for the outside receiver to be picked up by my seam flat player. The reason why I like this is because if for some reason they run a flat route with that guy, it doesn't matter. He's getting picked up instantly regardless. He runs a slant, he's getting picked up regardless. It does not matter. So that's something I kind of like. But I also in this instance like zone it. So it's entirely up to you what you want to do and what you want to run. For me, I switch between top hat and zone it just because it's like they kind of depend on what my opponent likes to do. Everything you have here is situational. I want you guys to understand that too. So whatever you like, do it. I don't run seam because seam is just man to man. If they're stacking, they run verticals, my seam has to take that point man. Usually he gets beat just because the seam flats don't play well like man coverage. They're usually in like a zone turn instead of a man turn, which is really bad. So this is something I would always stay away from. I like zone it here. Bunch checks. This is something I love. I love Skinny Meg. Skinny Meg is really good. Also zone it is really good versus cover 3 match. I love Skinny Meg only because the seam plays really good. Now one thing that is always open versus Skinny Meg, not necessarily skate, but Skinny and Skinny Meg, is if the outside receiver is on a flat route, that's open immediately. It's always open. Our seam flat is usually the guy who takes the wheel, the vertical, anything vertical. So it's not really good versus something like that. Skate, however, is really good versus guys who like to run flood concepts, guys who like to run flat routes, and so on and so forth. So skate, if you're playing against a guy who's running those type of concepts and you want to run cover 3, perfect. But if you got a guy who's running verticals, then you probably want to run something like Skinny Meg. And all Meg is man everywhere he goes. Backside is man everywhere he goes. It's man-to-man lock. No matter if you're pressed off, if you're in cover 3, he's manned up. That's how that works. But yeah, Skinny Meg is something I like. Trips, once again, I love Skinny Meg here. I also love Skinny. Either or. Trips is a little bit different. If it depends on what type of trips they're in. If they're in trips that's nasty, why off trips close, something like that, I like to run Skinny because I like to have that cornerback side just in case he has like a crosser or a post or anything and I want to undercut it with my corner, or my corner I can have him play underneath routes. It just depends on what I like. I like Skinny versus trips very much, and Skinny Meg versus bunch. Quarter stack. Now I don't really know how I feel about quarter stack. Honestly, I want to say zone it just because I don't really like how it plays versus stack. So we're gonna say zone it here. Bunch, box. I tried point triangle, I tried bingo. There are so many quarters beaters for bingo and point triangle because bingo, excuse me, the outside corner is locked onto the outside receiver, and there's a lot of corner routes and posts and crossers that you can variations of those routes you can call to get people open. So that's just something I really want to stay away from. Box is by far the best adjustment, or zone it, but I like box if you want to run match. Trips, I like quarters for trips. Trips is really good versus quarters. Quarters is really good versus trips. One receiver out wide, we're definitely going solo. The reason why is because we want that safety help to cheat over to the middle of the field. Somebody we can switch stick on to. One receiver tight, we want solo or solo cut, depending on what you like, depending on if you're in a cover 3 shell, you have your safety cheating down on like a corner route or anything like that. On a drag or slant from the tight end. If you're in a cover 3 shell, good. If you're not in a cover 3 shell, I recommend just default is solo, any of those things. I only say this because the guy responsible for the tight end, if he breaks in, doesn't matter what's going on, he's gonna get beat. So if you're playing a guy who is in trips tight end, something like that, I would always recommend solo cut if you're in a cover 3 shell, and solo if you're just in the quarters, cover 2, cover 6 shell, something like that. So that way the closest man to him stays on him. Palms, we definitely want to go palms here. Versus stack. Palms, all it is cornerback reads number 2. If he goes out on the flat, out route, anything like that, he peels off, the safety goes and gets number 1 if one goes vertical. That's all that means. This is really good versus guys who like to run flat, slant concepts, flat, street concepts, and so on and so forth. There is a whole shot versus this defense if somebody does catch you in palms. So that is something to be careful about and careful with, but for the most part, it's really good. Palms check, bunch. Once again, bingo is not it. Point triangle is not it. We want to go box. Box is good, or zone it, honestly. If you want to go zone it too, it's nothing wrong with it. If you want to have a zone check and you want to have a quarters check, it's perfectly fine, because you don't always have a cover 4 drop out the same formation, but most times you have a palms and a quarters. So if you want to go zone it here, I don't mind, but if you want to go box here too, it's the same thing. Palms and quarters is essentially the same thing, and there's really no difference at all, except the linebacker is the guy that's in and not the slot corner. That's it. Palms check versus trips. One thing I want to iterate here is entirely dependent on what your opponent runs. So these are things that you want to go in and change, but the meta kind of dictates what kind of checks you call. That makes sense. I like stubby. Cornerback is man-to-man locked on. The nickel, the safety, and the linebacker share the responsibilities of 2 and 3. What can really get you is a lot of double moves, return zigs, double out routes, a flat return, flat out, a slant, drag. Those will kill you in stubby and stump regardless of what's going on versus match, because in a cover 4 shell, the guys are automatically lined up outside. Your inside linebacker is lined up inside, your corners lined up outside. That's how palm checks work. But versus trips, I like stubby. Palms, one receiver, once again, we like solo. One receiver tight, we like solo or solo cut, depending on what you like. If you like safety help over top, or if you like cornerback help over top, entirely up to you. Cover 6 checks versus stack. I'm gonna be honest, I like palms. I like palms here. All this is cover 4 palms on one side, or it could be cover 4 quarters on one side. I like palms here just because I like to take away the flat. Super simple, super quick, super easy. Cover 6 versus bunch. Once again, we got box. Cover 6 versus trips. Once again, we got stubby. These are what I found to be the best coaching adjustments. I went all day yesterday without playing a game. I was in practice. Well, I play games, but I was literally practicing all day yesterday, maybe like 10 hours since the game came out, from like 11 a.m. to what? I think like 9 or 10 p.m. just practicing, and then we got in games later on. We're dropping a video later too. First gameplay. You don't want to miss that, honestly. Actually, we got a lot going on this year, man. So if you enjoyed this video and this really helps you out, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. I'm not gonna lie, this year is gonna be a great year for us. But if you like this video, you want to check out our MUT 27 first game of the year. And honestly, I say game of the year because we did something so crazy at the end of the game that is just like absurd. Go ahead and click here.